Hey, this is the Pixel 2 XL, and this is the OnePlus 5T. We're gonna put these two head to head and see exactly how they stack up, and at the end of it all, I'm gonna tell you which one I think is the winner and why. Let's get right into it. Kicking things off with these specifications, the Pixel 2 XL and OnePlus 5T are both being powered by the Snapdragon 835 processor with 4GB of RAM on the Pixel 2 XL and either 6 or 8GB of RAM on the OnePlus 5T depending on storage. Both devices are incredibly very snappy, and I never noticed any slowdown on either one. The extra RAM on the 5T is pretty nice, especially for multitasking purposes, but I never felt like this gave the 5T a performance edge over the Pixel, at least not in real-world use. Everything from launching applications, browsing the web, watching videos, and playing graphically intense games all felt very smooth on both phones, and these are probably two of the most fluid Android phones on the market right now. You can thank a lot of that smooth performance to the clean and lightweight software experiences. The Pixel 2 XL is running the latest version of Android with 8.0 Oreo, which is just an absolute pleasure to use. It's the most refined version of Android yet, and it's all the small and subtle touches like the new animations, notification dots, picture-in-picture support, etc. that makes this version of Android so great to use. I also love the more pixel-specific features like the Now Playing feature that shows song titles on your lock screen and the squeeze functionality to access Google Assistant. The biggest software advantage of the Pixel or any previous Google device is that it's 100% stock, completely bloatware-free, and you're always going to be first in line to get software updates. With the OnePlus 5T, you have Oxygen OS, which is currently based on Android 7.1.1 Nougat. We should be seeing an update to Oreo soon, but Oxygen OS is basically stock Android, but with a lot of really great features and customization options that let you personalize the OS however you want. There's a built-in dark theme that looks awesome on the AMOLED screen, and I love that you can pick from a variety of different accent colors. There's a bunch of other things that you can do, like the status bar, for example, can be customized with different battery icons, and you can pick and choose which icons you want to appear in the status bar so that it doesn't get cluttered. You do get a few new features with this version of Oxygen OS, like Face Unlock, which isn't going to be as secure as the fingerprint sensor, but it does unlock the phone extremely quickly. You also have what OnePlus calls parallel apps, and this lets you run two instances of the same app, which is great for apps that don't support multiple accounts. This isn't exactly a groundbreaking feature since several other phones have something similar, but it is nice to see this feature popping up on more smartphones. On the outside, the Pixel 2 XL and OnePlus 5T are both constructed out of metal, but their approaches and design makes them look and feel completely different. The Pixel 2 XL has a more industrial design with rounded corners and some subtle tapers, but the flat sides and back makes it feel pretty blocky in comparison to the 5T's curvy pebble-like design. It's also taller, thicker, and wider than the 5T, so it's not quite as easy to use in one hand. It has sort of a two-tone look with a glass window on the back, which I'm personally a fan of, and I like that the metal is coated with a textured finish. It attracts fingerprints and gives a lot more grip over the smooth metal finish of the 5T, but I do think the 5T is the more comfortable feeling phone because of its heavy use of curves. Small bezels and 18:9 screens were all the rage in 2017, and Google and OnePlus were no exception to that trend. The Pixel 2 XL has a 6-inch AMOLED screen with Quad HD resolution, and the OnePlus 5T also has a 6-inch AMOLED screen, but has a resolution of 1080p instead. The Pixel 2 XL is obviously the sharper looking display, but the 5T's 1080p display is a very good looking panel. It's very contrasty and vibrant, and I like that the 5T's display has much thinner bezels than the Pixel 2 XL. The thicker bezels of the Pixel aren't that sexy to look at, but they do at least serve a purpose. You get stereo front-facing speakers, which are very loud and crisp, and the 5T's single bottom firing speaker just can't compare. You do, however, get a headphone jack with the 5T, which you don't get with the Pixel 2, even though the phone is still thick enough to house one. On the plus side, the Pixel 2 XL is IP67 certified against water and dust, whereas the OnePlus 5T is not, so you have to be a little more careful around the pool or sink. Both devices have fingerprint sensors on the rear, which is where I personally prefer it, and they're both very fast and accurate at unlocking, but the 5T does feel ever so slightly quicker due to its lack of a wake-up animation. One area where the Pixel 2 XL and OnePlus 5T perform extremely well is in battery life. The Pixel 2 XL has a 3,520 mAh battery, and the OnePlus 5T has a 3,300 mAh battery, and I can get through a full day with both of these phones extremely easily with a consistent 6 hours of screen on time. No wireless charging on either phone, unfortunately, but you do get Quick Charge 3.0 on the Pixel 2 XL and dash charging on the OnePlus 5T, which is incredibly fast at charging and also is a lot more efficient than Quick Charge when it comes to delivering power and regulating heat. Last but not least, let's talk about those cameras. The Pixel 2 XL has a single 12 megapixel rear shooter that's equipped with OIS, EIS, and an aperture of f1.8. The 5T has a dual camera setup like the OnePlus 5, but no longer do you get that 1.6x optical zoom. It still has the same megapixel count with 16 on the main sensor and 20 on the secondary, but this time the secondary sensor is designed to help improve low light. You can still do a 2x jump zoom within the camera, but it's purely digital, meaning you're getting a cropped image. Both of these cameras do offer a portrait mode, but the way they go about achieving this is very different, and each of them have their respective pros and cons. Because the Pixel 2 XL only has one sensor, it actually uses machine learning to separate the subject from the background. This also means that portrait mode is possible on the front-facing camera, which you don't get on the 5T. What I like about portrait mode on the Pixel is that it always gives you a version with the blur and one without, which makes it pretty easy to gauge how much of a difference the bokeh makes, and it's always nice to have the image without bokeh just in case you prefer this look better. There is a crop factor with the portrait mode on the Pixel, so your photos are going to have a much more zoomed in look, whereas with the 5T you're getting the entire frame of the image. The bokeh isn't perfect on either camera, and depending on how complex the subject is, you will get photos where the blur bleeds onto the subject, but overall I prefer the Pixel 2 XL's portrait mode better because the bokeh looks a lot creamier and more convincing than the 5T. In good lighting situations, you can get some really nice shots out of both cameras, but the Pixel 2 XL does fare a lot better when it comes to contrast, sharpness, and overall dynamic range. Color reproduction on the Pixel 2 XL is also much more natural, while the 5T tends to produce more saturated looking photos. In certain situations, the extra saturation works well and makes the images pop, but sometimes it can feel a little too aggressive. Low light is where the Pixel 2 XL really comes out ahead of the 5T. The Pixel 2 XL's photos are brighter with more details in the shadows, and highlights look a lot cleaner and better exposed. You can also see a pretty significant difference in sharpness and detail when zooming in. So obviously when it comes to these two phones, price is going to play a big factor, and if you're looking for the best bang for your buck flagship smartphone, there's really no better deal than the OnePlus 5T. It's a couple $100 cheaper than the Pixel 2 XL, and with an all-metal build, a bezel-less screen, dual cameras, a blazing fast fingerprint sensor, and Oxygen OS, it provides incredible value. It's a very similar experience to the Pixel 2 minus the high price tag. If we were to take price out of the equation, the Pixel 2 XL would be my choice between these two phones, and it all comes down to a few reasons. The camera performs better, especially in low light. It's IP67 certified, you get stereo front-facing speakers, and you'll always be up to date with the latest software, which to me is a huge perk, and that makes the Pixel 2 XL worth the extra cost. So that pretty much wraps up this comparison between the Pixel 2 XL and the OnePlus 5T. Which one would you choose? Let us know down in the comment section below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. We definitely appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel, which is also down below if you haven't already. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our future videos. And of course, check us out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Google+. All that good stuff will be linked down below. And check the website as well, AndroidAuthority.com, because we are your source for all things Android.